Hi guys, welcome back to Carrie's Collections. As you guys can see, I have a lot of manga on my desk. For those of you wondering, this is 56, well technically 55 volumes, because I think this Ghost in the Shell is, it's a light novel. And also technically more than that, because I do have a bunch of omnibuses. So, yeah, this was about $700 worth of manga. I have no shame. In case you were wondering, I ended up buying the majority of, all of this actually, at McKay's. These are the locations you can find a McKay's near you. Unfortunately, it's literally only found in 2 states, so good luck to you. For future references, these are secondhand books, and they are sold based on how popular they are. So Bloodlad, for instance, sells for $20, but I paid like $12 for it. Black Clover up here is super duper popular, so they sold it for $16. Made in Abyss is like a $13 or $14 series, but I only paid like $8 for it. The same could be said for Beyond of Cloud, Heaven's Design Team. Actually, this whole stack was like $8. So you can see where you're saving your money when you're going to have to pay a little bit more for something like One Piece, which is an extremely popular series, and it's going to be a little more expensive. So I pretty much broke even. I didn't save any money and I didn't lose any money. I think I ended up paying like $6 or $7 below the regular price. Whoopsies. So, yeah. Okay, so I am switching over to omnibuses for some of these bigger series, simply because I need to save shelf space, and this is like 2 volumes worth of manga put together versus 3 volumes. To give you guys an example, let's grab 3 volumes worth of Black Clover, put it side by side, back it up. As you can see, you do save space. It's not a whole lot of space, but when you've got limited space to begin with, you're just going to do the best that you can. Now, let's get on with me actually showing you guys what I got. So, as you can see, I basically got volumes 7 through 12 of One Piece, which I was really surprised about. Some of you don't know, this is a super long series. There's like 102 volumes at the moment. I personally have a really hard time watching this series. I don't know if it's the animation that irks me, or it's because I have to put the series down because I want to slap the Jesus out of Luffy. But basically, you're following Luffy's adventures because he wants to become the Pirate King. Which I get. That's cool. I get you, fam. But the boy has some problems. Not gonna lie at all. He needs a little therapy. I got no shame. But anyway, I have only gotten to like where they're trying to move from East Blue with the, I think it's Laboon, which is like the super sad baby whale. And that's mainly because it's really irritating trying to read this stuff online. Like, it takes forever to go to the next page. I don't have the patience for that. And like I said earlier, the anime kind of annoys me. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So, I bought the manga so I can read it on hand and go ahead and get through it. The other series that I bought is Naruto, which I have a lot of fondness for Naruto. Like, I really enjoy it. As you guys can see, I got volumes 4 through 12, which I have 1 through 3 downstairs, which I'm going to try to go ahead and switch out to an omnibus form, because like I said, it takes up a little less space. I wish they had not put this here. And I have to try to get that off. I hate it when they put stickers on my books, y'all. It makes me crazy. So basically, Naruto is following Naruto, our protagonist, while he tries to become Hokage and basically just be the best ninja that he can. Some of you who have gotten to the end, you will understand when I say this. I'm really irritated about Kaguya. If you don't know, I'm going to leave it at that. Maybe it'll make you inclined to read the rest of the story. And if you guys are wondering, there are 72 volumes of Naruto. My bad. I usually try to tell you guys how much is there, so you know what kind of investment you're making. This, as you obviously can see, is by Tate Kubo. He also wrote a short series called Zombie Powder, which he did not end in any great way, and it irritates me to this day. I have all 4 volumes. It just makes me mad. I've been picking this up piecemeal, and I think at this point I've got like 20-something volumes out of the 74 volumes of Bleach that are available, which kind of pains me, but you do what you gotta do. Let me show off these covers. I haven't gotten this far, so some of these characters I do not recognize. Like, this looks like a dark-haired Orihime. And then we got White Coat Ishida. And then, of course, Ichigo. Basically, some of you probably don't know, but this story follows around Ichigo and his ability to see ghosts. Unfortunately, he runs into Rukia, who is a member of Soul Society, and things get really shitty really fast on his part. Like, the boy needs a rescue. He needs someone to be like, whoa, time out. We're not doing that. I'm gonna need you to bibbity bop the heck back up. Alright, so the other thing, is, like I said, Bloodlad. There are 17 volumes of this. There's only supposed to be, like, 8 omnibus volumes, which I think is great. This is basically about Staz, who is a vampire otaku. He basically meets this human girl, and literally within, like, a few hours, she's dead. Which he's like, well, damn, there goes my chance of human girl nerdness. And he basically dedicates himself to putting her back in her body, or bringing her back to life. Whichever way you want to go with that. Like I said, these are pretty pricey. They're $20 a pop, so that's at least $160, not including taxes for these, unless you can find them for $12 a pop at McKay's, which sometimes these are a little more expensive. I've seen these for $14 and $16 at McKay's, but again, it depends on how fast they fly off the shelf. So there's that. And I did tell you guys that I got a light novel, which is Ghost in the Shell. I don't know if there's a manga to this series, but if there are more light novels, I'm definitely going to look for it. This is basically fleshing out the universe that Makoto is in. And these are some of the people who are adding to it. Oh, Jesus, please stop. And basically, they've built, like, little short stories in this universe. As you can see, these are not the original people who wrote this. The original writer was Shiro Masamune. And then we've got these little 5 short stories by these other authors. Which, I really enjoyed Sorcerer, Stabber, Orphan. I also like Bungo Stray Dogs, so I'm really excited to get into this and see where it goes. I have no idea what this is about, by the way. Oh, goodness. Alright, so hopefully I will be able to continue finding this series. Only 17 of the volumes made it here to the US, unfortunately, due to shenanigans with licensing. But basically, Hylock, the mysterious water god, is turned into a kid during the day, and he's an adult at night. So he ends up hooking up with Soa. I'm pretty sure Soa, the whole point of this was Soa is trying to save her homeland. That's why they, or village, whatever you want to say. So yeah, this is a good little series. And like I said, only 17 of the 24 volumes came out in the US. Dark Horse is still arguing with them about licensing, and they've promised that if this ever gets sorted out, they'll produce the last 7 volumes, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. Alright, so Magical JR is kind of hilarious. For those of you who don't know, basically it is about J and Aru, which is, I think, where the J and R come from. But basically, they have to make a contract with a human for, like, the next year and serve well to graduate wizard school or magic school. And we basically follow along with the shenanigans that go on while they try to do that. There's only 5 volumes in this, so I definitely highly suggest it. Another fun series would be Heaven's Design Team. So far, there are only 6 volumes out. All of the main characters are named after planets. Like, this is, I believe, Mars, and that's Jupiter. Basically, they have this series of contracts that they have to fulfill, and they're basically designing critters, such as the sloth or a cheetah. And usually it's God. He sends down a list of criteria he wants, and they have to fit the criteria. But they do get other contracts, so sometimes even from demons. It's a hilarious way of explaining biology. It's great. I love it. Alright, next up is Beyond the Clouds, which is a great little story. It follows along behind Mia and Theo as they try to return Mia to her home. It has very Castle in the Sky vibes, as you guys can see. She has one wing and she's missing the other. Theo is a great little mechanic, so he's helping her out. So far as I know, there's only 4 volumes at this point. I don't know how many volumes there are going to be, but hopefully they'll finish it out because this looks really amazing. A lot of you have heard of Made in Abyss. I have too. It looks very sad from what I've seen of the previews. So I'm expecting to cry. That's just how it goes. So basically, this is following Rico, who lives in a town near the Abyss, which is a hole that has basically a record of all the past civilizations that have popped up in their worlds. And the further down you go, the more dangerous it gets to come back up. So you have a choice. You can go down and stay down, or you can take the chance to come back up and either get a disease, get white whiskers, which is a form of showing that you are an advanced explorer, or, you get turned into a blob or dissolve. So there's like a whole bunch of different things that can happen here. So let me just show y'all all these covers because they're really pretty. For those of you wondering, this right here is a Reg. He is a little robot boy, unfortunately. That's as much as I know. I haven't gotten super far because, this little chica right here and her gif and them shooting up the elevator and her friend turning into goo pretty much made me cry my little eyeballs out, and I didn't touch the series again for a long time. For those of you who are wondering, there are 10 volumes out so far. I have here 1 through 8. I'm super excited to see where this is going, because it doesn't seem like it. I hope it's not going to be super long. I think it probably will, though. I also feel like half the monsters in this series are totally people, or once were people. I got a feeling that's how it's going to go. Nothing is going to end well here, is basically what I'm getting at. Sorry if it's a little crowded, but I have limited space on my desk. and you make a do with what you got, right? Right. Alright, so the next thing I want to show you guys is Black Clover, which is volumes 15 through 20. I wish they would just go ahead and come out with these in omnibus. It would make my life so much easier. Basically, this series is about Asta, who gets a swanky 5 Clover grimoire, and it follows him along as he gets a super neat elf blade and anti-magic. And you basically uncover a lot of the mysteries that surround these magical grimoires, which, you know, also Noelle is boss, and we should all aspire to be her. Anyway, moving on. This is a good little series. So far, there are 32 volumes out. It's not done yet, but, you know, we'll get there eventually. The next series I want to show off is Case Closed. Case Closed is another one of those that I really need them to make omnibuses out of, because there are like 100 volumes of this series so far, which, I don't know about you, but it kind of hurts my feelings. So, I just like to show you guys all the covers because, you know, they just look really cool sometimes. The summary, I guess the best summary for this is basically Jimmy Kudo, who is a prodigy at solving problems. Unfortunately, he runs into something he shouldn't have, and they give him some kind of medication that turns him into a little boy. So, he spends the rest of this series trying to get turned back into a normal sized kid. Like, he's 15 or 16. And he's having to hide it from his family. He's having to hide it from his friends. It's just an exercise of frustration, or at least it is for me. I don't know about y'all, but it irritated the snot out of me. Alright. So, next up is Dr. Stone. I don't know if we've quite gotten to this. I think this is like season 3 of Dr. Stone in the anime. Basically, in 2019, the entire world gets petrified, and then like 3,000 years later, thanks to nitric acid, these people basically start thawing out like it's an iceberg. I don't understand the mechanics behind it, but they're petrified by the nitric acid. And this boy is, I think, like the rest of us, and he's like, I can't handle the lack of modern conveniences. I'm gonna fix this. Thankfully, he's a prodigy, so he can do that. So basically, he's wanting to rebuild modern society, like sinks, ramen, cars, boats, all those good things. It's an exercise in hilarity, I will say that. I love it. It's great. For those of you who don't know, that series actually just got finished, I think it was last month, so there's only 25 volumes. So it's not super long. I would definitely suggest it. This series makes me want to cry. It's not a series, it's a one-shot. But basically, this is following Saku Matsumoto, who's on a trip to spread his girlfriend's ashes. And it basically follows his memories of her while he's spreading her ashes. It pretty much made me cry. I'm going to put it back down now because I will start to cry again because I'm a big old baby. But yeah, like, okay, yeah, moving on. Here we go. So as you guys can see, this is volume 45 of Haikyuu, which is the last volume. I am nowhere near this, but it was the last volume, and volumes after, like, volume 20 are a pain in the ass to find. So I snagged it anyway. But yeah, so there are 45 volumes in this, and you're basically following Hinata as he tries to become the best at volleyball. And the team he joins, and it's just hilarious. I highly suggest it. Just do it. Just accept it. Move on. Alright, so here's Magi. This story is loosely based around 101 Arabian Nights. Like, you'll see characters Aladdin and Alibaba and characters of that nature show up, and then there's magic, and he's got like a magical critter in his flute. And basically you're just following them along through their adventures in this world. And most of this stuff can be found, you know, through the dungeons where you can find your riches. I would suggest it. The Labyrinth of Magic looks amazing. I don't know enough about this world. There's 37 volumes. I'm trying my best to get them before they go out of print because, you know, that's how it always goes. But I would definitely suggest this series for anyone out there. Let's see, what do I have next? I think it's Samurai Deeper Kyo, maybe? Y'all, I'm gonna go horse here in a minute. So, y'all, I don't know what's up with this, but, like, Volume 13 is always at McKay's. 13, 14, and 21. I don't know what happened, why Tokyo Pop was like, these volumes are super attractive. Let's mass produce them. But there we go. So, yeah, it's shenanigans. So Samurai Deeper Kyo follows Kyoshiro, who's a medicine peddler, and he basically has an assassin, like, stuck inside him. I don't know if he's got, like, a split personality, or there's a second soul in his body with him, but basically you're traveling around, Japan trying to figure out the mysteries behind both Kyoshiro and the assassin that's also sharing his body. It's one of those. There are so many questions, and you have to get, like, to the very end to figure it all out. Alright. So, this one some of you may recognize, some of you may not. This is by Watase, or Watase. I don't know how to say it correctly, my bad. So far there are 24 volumes. There's a lot of issues with this series right now. So in 2014, you put out that she was being harassed by her editor and she stopped writing due to stress and illness. It's only been, I think, I want to say it was either June or July of 2021 that she started writing on this series again. So this series is actually being remastered because she's going back and rewriting it her way. Unfortunately, due to the abuse from her editor, the original, which this is part of one of the originals, I think. I'm pretty sure this is one of the first ones that she did. There's a completely remastered set that's being put out in Japan. I don't know if that's going to come here to the US. I think they only put out like 18 or 19 volumes of this. They may have put out the full 24. I'm not sure. But yeah, so there's a lot of issues going on with this series. So if you want to collect it, to add it to your collection, go on. Because like I said, I don't know if they're going to bring the remastered edition here to the US. For those of you who like her or don't recognize her, she also wrote Fushigi Yugi. So she's pretty well known, or at least for most people. We also have Fairy Tail. I'm still trying to fill in the gaps of this series. For those of you who don't know, Fairy Tail is also the person who wrote Rave Master. He's also writing Eden Zero right now, which, go get Eden Zero. It is amazing. So there are 63 volumes in this series, and we're basically just following along with Natsu and Lucy's adventures with the Fairy Tail Guild. It's great. There's all sorts of shenanigans. Thankfully, there's not a whole lot of secondhand embarrassment comedy. There's comedy in here, but it's not like secondhand embarrassment, which kills me. So, I'm here for it. We got 2 series left, which is Goblin Slayer. This series is explicit. For those of you who know, you're gonna find goblins doing terrible things to young ladies. Read at your own risk. It gets graphic. Another thing you need to know is most of these people don't have names. It's Goblin Slayer, or Priestess, or I think this is Guild Girl. You see where this is going. By the way, this is Dwarf Shaman and Lizard Chief, I believe, if that's correct. Basically, our fella Goblin Slayer here is an adventurer who has probably an unethical, well, no, he doesn't have an unethical hate. He's got a lot of trauma involving goblins, and he's pretty much dedicated his life to absolutely eradicating them due to the heinous crimes they performed upon his village. You guys can already see where this is going. Like I said, it's super duper graphic, but it's been a good story so far. It's good. It's good. There's only like 12 or 13 volumes of this series out so far. We're pretty much caught up, and now we're waiting for them to make enough chapters to release more books. Which means the anime's pretty much caught up too. I don't know how that's going to look for future seasons or seasons. But hopefully there won't be too many fillers. And last but not least, there's Soul Eater. So Soul Eater was put out by the same guy who's writing Fire Force, which I think Fire Force just got finished. There are 25 volumes in this series, and it mostly revolves around Evan Soul and Maka Albarn, who are doing their absolute best to make a death scythe, which is like the pinnacle of their society. And then you've got Black Star, and I can't for the life of me remember what her dang name is. Jeez. I'll probably remember it at like a really stupid time. You know how that goes. So basically, they're just doing their thing, trying to graduate and be adults in their society, and enemies come along and are like, fuck you kids. I should probably bleep that out. But yeah, this is a great series. I highly suggest it. I hope you guys check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you next time.